my twin flame in equal measure to the love I had been denying myself. I realized that to truly love me was to love the other me, my twin, even if he did not return that love. For the first time I clearly saw my avoidance of him due to my inability to face the unresolved feelings I felt after he rejected me. It was 8 years since I had last seen him, despite the many times he had asked me, and 5 years since I last heard his voice. As I finally accepted my feelings for him as well as the pain that came with them without closing my heart, I felt relieved and surrendered as I had never felt before. I wanted to reach out to him and let him know that if I had avoided him it was not because of anything he had ever said or done, and that regardless of any past, current and future relationships the love that I had felt for him could never change, and what had always mattered to me was his happiness. He deserved to know this and more, not so that he would reciprocate or even respond, but because it felt like the right thing to do. I felt urged to write to him, reflecting on my feelings and experiences and on the immense love I felt for him. And this is exactly what I did without thinking about it or the consequences too much. I simply felt liberated for having finally spoken my truth. However, within 24 hours of sending my twin the email as I stood at my kitchen window, a man resembling him walked past. I live on a private road, so it is extremely rare that anyone who is not a neighbor walks past my window, yet here he was. A total stranger who just happened to be my twin's perfect doppelganger down to the way he walked and the clothes he wore. He seemed to be having a leisurely walk past my house, even stopping to admire the trees. Nothing special, by the way, outside my house for a very long minute or two. However, what became clear from this strange coincidence was the instantaneous realization that the intensity of my love for him had never gone away. As I stood there with my heart pounding, all my senses heightened, I could not deny that my love for him was as fresh as on the first day I laid my eyes upon him. I assumed that he would reply to my email fairly soon with his standard reply citing memories of a lovely summer together. However, as the days and weeks started rolling by with no sign from him, I was puzzled. He had delayed his answers to my emails before, so this was by no means the first time, but as he had only just told me how he hoped I still considered him a close friend, I assumed that he would at least acknowledge my heartfelt email. His passive rejection of me had always been a frustration for me. However, this time I quickly became aware of a different energy emanating from his direction. I felt a mixture of despair and relief containing happiness and sadness in almost equal measure. Maybe this meant he had finally come to the realization that this was no temporary flow from the ethos, like he had previously described our connection. This was an unexpected consequence to an email I had written more for myself than him. It wasn't anything I had planned or even imagined, so I wrote to him again, apologizing if my emails felt too forward or out of place. Receiving no reply, I wrote him a chatty email about my life and my children, gave him my phone number and offered to meet him, to no avail. I felt pretty calm about him not replying, but I was still checking my Skype and emails a little bit too much for my own liking, and on top of this, my kids kept getting hold of my phone and accidentally calling him. I was mortified that he'd think I was chasing him or pressuring him in any way for a reply. I felt a little shaky on this unknown territory and unfriended him on Facebook and then Skype. When I very quickly felt silly about it and sent him a new contact request, he immediately accepted it. Despite this, I never once saw him online for the next 5 months. It was as if the ground had swallowed him. For the first time I intuitively knew that his silences did not mean that he did not care about me or our friendship, but rather that my words had such an impact on him that he simply could not reply at the moment, not knowing what to say or how to respond. He did, however, want to keep reading me, and this is why he kept the lines of communication open. In the following weeks I found myself in turmoil, floating in a sea of emotion where I felt like I was being tossed about by huge waves of overwhelming emotion. Although I didn't perceive myself to be sad or upset, I became a sobbing wreck at the most random times, even breaking down at work, something so completely out of character for me. I intuitively knew these emotions were his, not mine, and it was the first time I had been able to tell the difference with such clarity. All the crying was actually helping me to finally allow myself to feel the full force of this love. After all, there was nothing I could do to escape it, and I no longer wanted to either. In addition to this, the mind chatter that I had previously experienced with him during times of intense growth, such as after my Kundalini awakening, returned more intense than ever. I was getting flashes and visions of things that had happened between us in the past, and I was seeing many things in a new light. B F4387283727A2A3782838394444C30FBFD7. One day, out of nowhere, a phone conversation I had at work 13 years prior popped into my head. It was really odd, as I had not even recalled the event for at least the past decade. At the time, I worked in a call center, the same one where I met my twin flame the following year, phoning new car/van owners in the UK for a 20-minute satisfaction survey. One night, I dialed a number in the London area and spoke to a man with whom I hit it off immediately. I could hardly get through my pre-scripted questionnaire as we were too busy catching up on a lifetime of events, discovering many common interests, and giggling like children at the delight of it all. My 20-minute interview turned to a 3-hour phone conversation lasting the entire duration of my evening shift, as we both marveled at the amazing connection between us. He wanted to meet me and asked me for my phone number, but afraid of how my boyfriend would react, I took his number instead. He made me swear I would call him, but I never did, although I did keep his number for several years. The time never seemed right for opening that door. I had felt so strongly about this practical stranger, as undoubtedly he had about me, that I knew I couldn't just call him to say hello. I knew something would have to follow. We hope this channel has helped you discover where to start on your actual paths. It's a good karma to put a like, subscribe and share. Leave your suggestion in the field below. With all the love to you.